So we do actually have 10 minutes left for public comment. So I'll ask Maureen is here, and I'm not sure who else has joined us.
My name's Tawny Couch, and I'm a parent of a person who's IDD.
Great. So we'll ask you, we have about 10 minutes left, so I think all three of you are going to give us public comment?
No, I'm not going to comment. I never even knew this body existed, and was interested in seeing the way things work.
So Maureen, looks like it's just you, so feel free to kind of pull up a chair or...
I think I'll stand. I didn't sit too much this morning. So this is my son, James Welch, and I live in Arapahoe County. Sounds like you're from Arapahoe County too. And he's 10 years old and he's on a CES waiver. And why am I here? You probably don't have a lot of public members show up. I started out in this world on the conflict-free case management task force. I was one of the only parents who was free of all money ties. I'm a volunteer. I get not a penny for being here. I have no job. Okay? I have no allegiances to a boss. I have 2 master's degrees, one in special ed and one regular ed. Okay? And I'm extremely concerned about APS. Extremely concerned. First of all, there are some issues that I wanted to touch on first about transparency in this group. I plan on coming to as many public meetings as I can because I was raised by 2 people that encouraged me to be involved in government. And so one thing that would be really helpful for transparency on this group would be to have some little table tents so that we know who you are, because it's really hard, and I'm sure some of you don't know every single person that's here. But if you could put your name and who you represent, that would really help me when I'm trying to follow along the discussions. Also, there's no web page for this group, so there's no way to access past agendas or to see who is a member of this group. Nowhere on the internet was there a membership group of this group or the big PAC. Okay? So that's a real issue for me as a taxpayer, because we have everyone here who's working for government, and yet I can't tell on the internet who is here. I run a website, and I also have a newsletter that goes out, and I've been covering the APS thing very carefully. I get a lot of parents who call me because I guarantee them confidentiality. There's a lot of fear in the community, a lot of fear, because people are having their children kidnapped. APS shows up at the door, they have allegations that they won't share with the family member or with the person with the IED. Okay, that's an issue. That's an issue. And the fact that you're using the word perpetrator is really offensive to me as a family member, because these are substantiated people. They are not perpetrators. That's something you hear on the crime shows. So I think we really need to be careful about our language. Also, I don't want to go too much over my 10 minutes, so I'm going to make sure I cut to the most important points. I've got to know Peg and Mindy and also Eric, because we have now gone to the state board, and it's interesting to me that today there was no discussion about all the concern from the community. You were talking about the concern. Is there concern in the county? Is there concern where you're coming from? There's extreme concern from the very users, families that are here today at Maine. Why are people afraid to be here? There are people that are afraid you're going to show up at their door and take their loved one away. That's why. And I'd really like to get your cards if possible, so I'd have a way to get hold of you and send you some more information, so I don't have a lot of time. But I showed up at the December 1 state board meeting, and I was the only person there that said, we are scared in the community. And Director Bika and Mr. Irwin from TRE said, okay, let's delay, let's have some stakeholder meetings. So we had 1 stakeholder meeting. We came back with more concerns. I had more conversations with state board members, and they said, this is concerning. In fact, we're going to stop all the rules. So I don't know if you knew this, but the rulemaking process was stopped because of community concern. So the fact that this wasn't brought up today is very concerning to me. Not only that, yesterday at the JBC, it wasn't shared that this actual funding for this program was pulled out of the budget. Why? Because people have been contacting their legislators. Leadership is concerned. I don't even know if this cap system is going to move forward. It was pulled out of the budget. That's very rare at the JBC. Very rare. I'm also a registered lobbyist. I was involved with the Alliance in creating Senate Bill 1638 to create more transparency. And it's really it sets a tone when I walk into a meeting and I ask for hard copies and I'm asked to cite statute. That's just not very user-friendly. I think that we need to maybe not just do the minimum, but try to embrace the very reason you're all here today is because of people and families like me. Okay, you wouldn't have jobs, you wouldn't have this meeting if there weren't IDD, people at risk, in other populations too, but I'm one of the populations that this covers. And the fact that you won't give me documents for this just sets that tone of us versus you, and I want it to be about us. We should be working together. I love the fact that there's some alternative models that you're looking at, but if you don't invite us to the table, this meeting is very hard to find. I asked where their webpage is, and Mindy told me that by state law they don't have to provide a webpage. That's another example of trying to be secretive, and if we want to set a tone of being embracing of families like we've been talking about, put it out there, be transparent, let people know about this meeting. Put your names on there, your contact information. That's what Senate Bill 38 was about. How can we as taxpayers directly send information to all of you so that when you come here you can actually represent families like mine? I don't think that's too much to ask. I'm going to give you a couple of examples and then I'll wrap it up because I don't want to hold you over. I have one family that's in the hospital right now. They went to the hospital and their loved one was interviewed by APS. And now the mother is limited to a few hours a day to visit that person. She has no idea what the charges are. She has no idea what information has been collected. The individual with IDD can't get it. Why? Because it's locked up by court order. Can you see how the secrecy and the rumors and the lack of feeling like the government is there for us, but rather they're like the KGB? Okay? No one knows when an investigation is open. Okay, I read all the rules. I know them backwards and forwards. No one has to notify you when an investigation opens. The only time they have to notify you is when a substantiation has been made. So everyone in the community is thinking, I'm being investigated because I could be. See the fear that's out there? We need to revisit the rules. We need to press the pause button like the JBC did yesterday. We need to look at the rules. We need to make sure that there is due process. There is no due process. Preponderance of evidence, as we saw some of the discussions down under the dome, is not a way to measure whether something happened or not. It may have happened, it may not have happened. We need to start looking at real hard facts and not using this as retribution. My byline when I'm speaking to people down at the JBC is that Adult Protective Services right now is not investigating, they're using it as a tool of retribution. The other thing that I'm telling people is preponderance of evidence is not something that's defined, that's not something that's measurable. Using the word perpetrator is absolutely offensive. And making sure that we include the very people that are being targeted in these discussions. Where is the safe place a family can come? Where is a safe place? Oh, well, you could call Reggie. Is that a safe choice if you're being under investigation? I don't think calling the director of the very agency that is over-investigating you is safe, okay? We have had people get attorneys, and when they get an attorney, things stop. Not everyone can afford an attorney. Why should I have to get an attorney because my loved one happens to have an IDD? We need to stop this. We need to look at what we're doing. We need due process. We need to protect families. I'm a registered CNA. I also have a certificate to be a special educator. I am a mandatory reporter. But we need to use some good sense of judgment when we're using these. And right now, there's some good people out there. I'm not saying they're not, but there's a lot of bad people. There's certain investigators that are not doing it by the book. They're telling families directly, I don't have to abide by the rules and regulations. I can do anything I want. And you can't see anything I'm doing because it's all locked up and you have to get a court order to see it. That's the way it is right now. So I really think that I'm happy to be here and to learn more about this body because I started at the state board, then I went to the task force, then I realized that this generates the rules before it goes to task force. I'm peeling the onion. And unfortunately, I don't go away. I keep coming back and I keep digging and I keep learning. So I'm a lifelong learner and I have all the time in the world to keep learning and to contact you. So I'd really appreciate it if you could pass your cards down so that I would have your information. And I look forward to seeing you at the PAC meeting. I'm happy to take any questions either here at the table or as we're around today.
Maureen, does anyone have any questions?
I tried to end early. I could have gone on for another 10 minutes.
Really appreciate you being here and bringing that parent voice. And you heard us talking about that differential response model and right sizing, and really that's part of the intention, is to make sure that the level of intervention is targeted to what the allegations are. So I appreciate you bringing that voice.
Thank you. Yeah, unfortunately the rules don't reflect any of that right now. and I'm learning how to do rules, and I know about legislation, and I had meetings with leadership at the Senate about this very issue. People are concerned. They stopped the funding for this program. They stopped it. The state board stopped it. Leadership at the Senate stopped it. This is serious stuff. This program may not exist unless the act gets cleaned up. And I think there's a need for it. I'm not denying that. I want to make that clear. I'm a teacher. I'm a mandatory reporter. I've had students that needed true intervention, and they need to be in foster care, okay? And I had to report them. That was part of my job. But we have situations where that is not the case. We have another case where a sister wanted to be the guardian, and APS overruled her. And they always say, oh, there's no available parent member. That's not my experience. That's not my experience. The APS is not being even-handed. There's 64 different ways of interpreting the rules. In Bernie Boucher, at the last state board meeting, I respect that man. He's done a lot of service for the state. He said, in all my time on this board, I've never been so concerned for this. This is a real problem. A state supervised program with county implementation, this is running amok. He agrees that there's problems here. There's a lot of problems, and I'm saying thank you for all being the good people at the table, trying to do the right thing, but unfortunately, unless we have the rules and the parameters in statute or in the rules, we know that things can't be enforced. So I look forward to getting to know all of you more, and I have some cards if any of you are interested I can hand out. And I don't know, I don't see anyone passing cards, but I'd love to have yours. I did get yours, thank you, and I got Eric's. All right, thank you so much.